Hi, I'm Nick May with Walls by Design. Today we're going to talk about why does siding in Colorado fail and then you have to replace it? Why is that? Let's talk about it. All right, so at the end of last season, I was walking my house, and I realized I had a very large area on one side of my house. It's the north side, started to fail. I'm not talking about paint, I'm talking about the siding failed. And so what happens with siding typically is there's a couple things. So if it's not been painted properly, then the underside of the siding gets a very light coat of paint. And over time, that's going to be your weakest link. And so then when it rains, when it snows, when water's beating down your siding, it's going to collect on the bottom side of the siding and it's going to slowly eat away. And if there's penetration, it's going to be able to wick right up into the siding. Now in Colorado, unless you have the concrete or cement board, I think it's made by Hardy, most people, especially if you have a builder grade house like I do, you have basically pressboard or cardboard that if it is not 100% covered with paint will soak up water like a sponge. Once that has happened, once moisture has been introduced to it, it pretty much needs to be replaced. I did about 200 square feet on the side of my house, and it ended up costing me about $2,000 to pull all of it down and to replace it. Now, we replaced it with an OSB siding, much more durable than the pressed cardboard. And even if that stuff gets a little wet, it's not going to blow up like the press board that we often see on houses. And so it's super important that if you have failure that you get it and you see the paint getting light or fading, we need to get that resprayed, repainted so that we don't have a more costly repair. Now, the problem I had wasn't actually caused by paint. It was actually caused by an improperly flashed roof line that came over into the side. And so we didn't discover that until we actually got all the siding, removed from the house. Those kinds of things can happen as well. It's so important, I can't stress this enough, that we don't try to push the life of a paint job the farthest that you possibly can. It's kind of like tempting fate with tires. You don't want to have a blowout when you're out on the road. And so when you have a blowout on the road, it's more costly because then you got to get a tow or you got to, it's very inconvenient, but it's much better to replace those tires before you have a blowout. Same thing with your siding or trim. You want to get it repainted before we get down to that substrate, and then we have to repair and replace trim, which can be very costly. So I know there's this balance. We don't want to paint too soon, but we definitely want to paint before we have failure on that siding or that trim, and we keep you protected. If you'd like some help with your exterior, we'd love to help you. We not only do the painting, but we can also do the repair and the replacement of siding or trim boards. So give us a call. I'm Nick May with Walls by Design. We'll talk to you next time.